It was a judicial procedure in Castilian and Indian law, which consisted in the fact that at the end of the public official's term of office, his actions were subject to review, and all the charges against him were heard.
Excellent. Trial of residence is a brilliant choice.
According to Article 256, only dash that satisfy dash provided for by law and dash for provision of commercial assessment services shall be allowed to provide assessment services and issue assessment certificates.
Valid point. Traders satisfy all the conditions are granted business registration certificates is true.
Dash and informal standards govern much transnational commercial law. These are persuasive rather than binding, and can sometimes harden over time into more formal laws.
You chose soft norms, and it is correct.
Instruments such as UNCITRAL's model laws on international commercial arbitration provide a model which a state can dash into law either in whole or in part.
You got it. Your choice adopt is right.
Dash of foreign judgments in some countries depends on whether the court applied the law that would have been chosen under the choice of law rules.
Great thinking. Recognition is the right choice.
Conflict of laws, also known as dash, is the body of law that deals with disputes that implicate the laws of more than one country or state.
Sharp thinking. Private international law is the right choice.
Recent decades have seen a growing demand for the dash of the legal rules and principles governing international commercial transactions.
Nice work. You chose harmonization and it is correct.
Which school of law is concerned with the intersection of law and gender, advocating for legal changes to address gender-based inequalities? Or
On track. Feminist legal theory is the correct answer. There are a number of statutory exceptions where a non-owner can pass title to a buyer. Which statute does not include any such exceptions? Well done. Law Reform Act 1943 is the right choice.
which school of law asserts that law is a reflection of the will of the sovereign authority and must be obeyed regardless of its content?
Correct. Positivist law is the right answer.
Bankruptcy law in the US is exclusively.
Good job. Your answer, federal law, works well here.
The oldest compilations of medieval trade usages are maritime law texts and are associated with the statutes of cities, such as. Well picked. Customs of the sea is the correct answer. What is the main objective of the Act in promoting economic cooperation and regulating international commercial relations? Right choice. To foster global economic growth is the best answer.
In the main European modern countries, commercial law is becoming a unified national law under the authority of.
Strong choice. The state is the right answer.
When a court hears a case with foreign elements, it applies its own law to the proceedings before it.
Good thinking. Procedural is the right answer. Law deals with situations where a person's behavior has caused someone else to suffer a loss or harm.
Right again. Tort is a valid answer.
In which statute will you find the permission to apply English Sales of Goods Act to Sabah and Sarawak? Smart pick. Civil Law Act 1956 is the correct choice. Law is the area of law that guides real property, personal property, and intellectual property. Great job. property is the accurate answer. One way that the court upholds party autonomy in commercial transactions is by respecting the
Clear logic. Your choice sanctity of contract is sound and 100% true.
who has responsibility for the bankruptcy policy, the Bankruptcy Act in Australia. Nicely done. Attorney General is a solid answer. Who is a person whose ability to exercise their rights is curtailed or restricted by law? You're right. Minor is the correct answer. The provision that an agreement not enforceable by law is said to void is contained in. Bravo, Section 2 is the answer. Who are the people protected by law and limited in their ability to do legal acts? Excellent choice. All correct is the right answer. When someone is authorized to act on behalf of another, it governed by dash law. Well reasoned. Agency is the correct choice. The law of relations between individuals and the state is the definition for. Correct response. Public law is the most accurate answer.
Dash arises where the law treats one person as an agent of another.
Perfect. Agency by operation of law is the correct choice. Law can be classified into 3 broad divisions, which are exactly. Public law, private law, and international law makes sense, and it is right choice. Which of the following is not an essential of a valid contract? Nice selection. Adequate consideration is the correct and valid answer.
Which of the following is the main source of law in Malaysia?
Solid response.
Federal Constitution is a valid choice.
Juristic persons under civil and commercial law include. Smart move. Limited partnership is an accurate answer.
The natural law theory suggests that an unjust law is
Well picked. Invalid and should be challenged is the correct answer.
What is the law governs law of agency in Malaysia? Strong choice. Contracts Act 1950 is the right answer. What does nemo dat quod non habet mean in English?
Excellent choice. No one can give what he doesn't have is the right answer.
What is the primary purpose of the law in society? Good thinking. To maintain order, justice, and protect rights is the right answer. Which is considered death as a result of the law? Sharp thinking. The court ordered him to be a missing person is the right choice. The first law came into India by.
Nicely done. British East India Company is a solid answer.
Unwritten law mainly comprised of. Bravo. English law, judicial decisions or precedent and customs is the answer. An agreement enforceable by law. Well reasoned. Contract is the correct choice. Void contract meaning. Nice work. You chose agreement not enforceable by law, and it is correct. Valid contract means. Great thinking. Enforceable by law is the right choice. Every agreement is. Right choice. Enforceable by law is the best answer. How you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format. Smart move. Contact Naran Chengder is an accurate answer.